Hello, friends. A very good evening to everyone. Today, we have with us is Dr. Nirmal, who is a very, very successful person. Firstly, as a doctor, and secondly, after completing his graduation, he got selected into IAS. Hailing from God's own country, Kerala, Dr. Nirmal NIS is an assistant collector in Punjab, Patiala. After completing his degree in the medical sciences, he started pursuing his UPSC journey. After being motivated to do so by his teachers who saw a good potential in him. उनको लगता था कि ये definitely he will be able to clear it. This is a journey of a person with admirable strength and wisdom, a student forever, a doctor, and now an IAS officer. We have with us today a very, very great personality, a young person who is committed and dedicated, and the one of the important persons who can be one of the important person advising the government with the great, great policies in his country. The experience that he have while doing his graduation and now as an IAS officer, a combination of two different things is very, very essential to help the government formulate good policies working at the ground level. For example, जैसे अभी कोरोना का चल रहा है, his experience will definitely be helping the people to a great extent. So let me welcome Dr. Nirmal. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So I have some certain questions which regarding UPSC. Those questions which will be comparatively useful for the students also, and definitely the students will definitely be getting motivated by the things. The first question that I would like to ask you is, what was the motivation behind becoming a civil servant aspirant? Firstly.
Um, it was actually a childhood dream. While I was in school, I was motivated by my principal who saw some potential in me. And he advised me that, rather than going to usual professions, I'm coming from a small town in Kerala. There are like very few people who have ever cleared civil service exam. And from my school, it have never happened till now. I'm the first person to do that. So back in 2003 or 4, he told me we can be the first IAS officer from this school. So that was a great motivation at that point of time when I was studying in 8th standard. So that was the first time I started thinking about this career, and that dream actually I kept it in me, and over a period of time it became much more stronger. But initially I was not very confident. Coming from a small town, I have never seen an IAS officer before. Like till reaching my graduation and all, I have never seen an IAS officer. So I don't know. I did not know exactly whether I would be able to clear this exam. I just know that it is a very tough exam. Very few people clear. So, but this dream was kept in me. Like I kept on nurturing the dream, and over a period of time, I became more and more confident. And once I completed my graduation, I started preparing for the exam.
That's great. So it's a very important thing that there's a certain persons are there in the life. They basically act as the motivational force. Everyone has the potential to clear the exam, provided it is being polished and being encouraged upon. You got the motivation, for example, in the 8th class, and one thing that was there important is to keep that motivation continuously going in you. That's very, very important. Another question, sir, I would like to ask you is that as you had already done MBBS and then you started preparing for IAS, and by God's grace, you cleared also. How will you use your knowledge that you have acquired in the field of MBBS and for the society presently in the context?
MBBS is a course, as well as after coming out of that, when you work as a doctor, you get a lot of experience. First of all, you get to work with like normal people who are suffering, and their problems will be like very. They have a very number of problems. So when we go through all these, we understand what people really want. And when we come to the service also, we will be able to establish the rapport with the people. So we have nurtured that character of talking to normal people, getting to know their problems. Even if a patient is coming to you, sometimes we will have to ask them how is it at home, what are they at home, like that way we'll start talking to them. So this kind of interaction with the people really helps in understanding the people. Also, this is a 6-year long course where you go through a lot of things. We understand the community as well, the society nearby you. So this all helps when you come to administration. And I came to administration at a very point of time when health is the biggest issue now.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
get when the COVID is happening. So I straight away landed in Patiala on May 9th when the migrants were transported from Patiala to their home states like Bihar and UP. So, and also lots of infection prevention and control is happening, and other lockdown is going on, sanitation is happening all over the district. So I got to engage with all these. So actually, right now my experience is being handy for this, and I think this course have helped me, like doing MBBS have helped me both in clearing the civil service exam, and I look forward that it will be helping me in the service as well.
And definitely. And what is the situation that is presently in the district of Patiala? Is it improving or it is the consistent same that has been there?
Like we all know, all over the country, condition is cases are increasing. But like at this point of time, what I'm thinking is we should learn to live with this disease. Like we should get better adapted to it and understand how the disease spread, and make some behavioral changes in our life, like washing hands, sanitation, or using a mask. Right now, when we go around the city, we can understand that most of the people are used to wearing a mask.
Yes.
Okay. And when I am outside, whenever I get back into my car, my driver is very prompt to give me the sanitizer to get my hand sanitized. So this is he is a normal person coming from the society, so he is also understanding the importance of doing all these things. Yeah, I see him also doing this hand sanitization a number of times a day. So what I feel is Patiala, the cases are improving. I mean, the situation is improving. Overall, what I think is people should learn to live with the disease and understand the dynamics of how the chain of spread of the diseases, and we can engage ourselves in like whatever is to be done to break the chain. So I think we can make the chain to break the chain.
That's important, that every person should be well acquainted with what are the precautions that are needed. And being there in a district, for example, Patiala, the CM's district, so that's an additional pressure also in you. Do you feel that it's an additional pressure or it's a normal thing?
For me, I am just a trainee right now. It's actually a good place to learn. It's a good city, and being the CM's constituency, Patiala urban is CM's constituency. Good thing is there are lots of projects happening, and also we have this Patiala Development Authority. Right now, I'm coming from a meeting where the Patiala Development Authority's projects were being discussed. So I just got to know about what are the projects, and lots of things are happening in this district. And there are actually 5 to 6 IAS officers here. So it's a great learning experience rather than in being in another district. Patiala gives me a great opportunity to learn a lot, and lots of projects. Like I was dealing with normal projects like Narega and NRLM and all, but going to the intricacies, we get to know this district being under the watch of CM, like is striving to perform the best in Punjab. So I think I've got the right opportunity and the right place to learn at the beginning of my career.
Yeah, that's also very, very important, that in the initial phase, you're getting an opportunity to learn most of the things. Nirmal, what was your optional that was there? Could you please share some of the tips which can be useful for the students, which helped you, and that step can be also helpful for the students also in clearing the IAS exam?
Actually, I should add a bit to this, because I started off with medical science as my optional, and I was not able to perform well in that optional. It is not because medical science is a bad optional. Maybe in college time, I haven't really focused on medical science as a subject, and I haven't scored great in my college time. So, when I started medical science preparation for civil service, it was actually affecting my preparation. And in my second attempt, I was not able to clear just because of this optional, because in all other generals, GS papers and essay papers, I was able to score pretty well. But just because of medical science optional, my marks went really down, and I missed out of the rank list by 10 marks. And then I thought of changing the optional, and I selected sociology as my optional. After thinking for few days, I understood that sociology would be the better optional for me to select. And actually, that decision really paid off, because sociology was really helpful. And what I felt is it is just understanding the society rather than reading a lot in sociology. If you there is this term called sociological perspective. So you view anything with a sociological perspective. You try to understand it from a sociological perspective. It is easy to answer and score marks in sociology. There are very good coaching in Delhi. I was studying it in Delhi for a few days, but then I went back and I prepared on my own for a long period of time. Actually, this really helped me, sociology as a subject. And right now, if we are looking this COVID, the lockdown, and all these have a sociological perspective and a big sociological impact. Like if you are looking at relations, you are looking at the society, the migrant laborers, caste, everything comes under the scan when the COVID is out there. So this also have a sociological impact. So when you are able to look at everything with a sociological eye, and you understand the concepts and the ideologies clearly, like there are five thinkers in this paper when we are writing the exam, if we are able to understand what they are trying to tell or what ideology they are trying to propagate, then it is easy to score marks. And all the years sociology have delivered results for
Yeah.
people. So I think it's a good optional to take.
Yeah. So it's a combination of sociology, medical, MBBS, and then into the practice and into the district where it is the most important you need to perform. It's a combination of different things which keep on helping.
Yeah.
So friends, those who have joined us late, it's a very good evening to everyone. And firstly, we have with us is Dr. Nirmal, who is coming from Kerala. He's a doctor, and later on he got selected into IAS and is being posted as a trainee in the district of Patiala. And he was having his optional, for example, sociology. It was sociology that helped him to get the rank in IAS. All those students and viewers who have joined late, they can definitely ask any question regarding UPSC preparation or regarding, for example, any books, any guidance for sociology as an optional they want to ask. So one question is coming up. How you have approached the sociology paper since you are coming from the science background?
Um, this question usually comes to me, but what I would like to say is, I come from a science background. I always had a leaning towards humanities subjects, and actually, I pretty much knew that a humanities subjects will be more like favorable for me, because it naturally able, like my thinking is more in favor of a humanities subject, though I have a science background. Sociology, when I chose, actually I came to the decision because I was searching for a new optional, and I was like thinking between political science, a bad philosophy, psychology, and sociology. Then I understood that sociology have a limited syllabus. Like the syllabus is very limited. You can finish it off in some 50-60 days. There is no like unlike political science and all, there is nothing like you have to read too much. Philosophy also there is too much to read. At the same time, like you might end up in trouble when you're writing philosophy. It depends. You have to. Then when I went to sociology, I understood it is very crisp. And to be fair, you have to only read paper one, and few chapters from paper two, like 3-4 chapters. The rest, it's if you have understood what you have read in paper one, and you've got the concepts right, and you have got the thinking right, you can easily crack paper two. So that was my understanding initially. Then that helped.
So another thing I want to ask is there are certain students who fail to qualify even the prelims and they're consistently working hard. And certain students, time and again, 2-3 attempts, 2-3 mains they are writing and still unable to get through the rank and or even the interview call. So what would be the advice that would be given to such students from your side? What should be focused area so that they are able to get into the list?
Those people who are failing repeatedly on mains, they need to understand there is some critical area they are missing out on. Maybe writing skill.
Yes.
Mostly two things I've observed is some people lack the writing skill. Then they have to write again and again. Some others lacks enough points. So it is practice as well as reading. You have to go and check your paper and go to a teacher if you want. I was actually correcting people like paper of few people. Then I understood many do not have enough number of points. For example, GS, when you are writing without sufficient amount of points, it will definitely reflect in your marks. And some may not be like able to draw diagrams. And another common thing I observed is some do not understand question. Like they are not reading the question properly and getting the meaning properly, and immediately after reading the question they write what they think. But what we have to do is we have to answer the question only, not what we know. So that is another thing I have observed. Then something is like due to lack of practice, many people are not able to finish writing all the 20 questions. Many will be like getting to finish only 17 or 16 questions. This is a very common thing I've observed. 16, 17 questions you are not going to clear. You have to attempt all 20 questions. Unless and until some question you have no idea, just leave it. Otherwise, attempt all 20 questions. And so then another thing I've observed is some people do not focus on certain particular areas. They think that it is tough and they leave that topic all years. Like third attempt to fourth attempt, still they won't put an effort to study that area. Maybe it's economics or like some part of geography. So you need to study all the subjects. As for example, those who are coming from humanities background, they won't spend some time to study science. They will think that science is impossible. Actually, UPSC do not ask some like out of the world science question. They ask some simple stuff only. Anybody can, if they put some effort, can understand that. So understand that you have to prepare all subjects. You have to practice again and again. If you are not good in writing, you have to practice again and again, repeated writing. And if you do not have enough points, you have to understand that I have to work hard to make points. If you want to make notes, you have to make that. So you have to put in a lot of effort and understand what mistakes you are making year after year. To understand the mistake, it is good to write exams, go to the teacher and get it corrected. And if the teacher is demotivating, change the teacher.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, very well. It's very, very important. I always say it's very important to be surrounded by a positive person. Which there are certain people who they always say, "Tera kuch nahi ho sakta." On the other hand, there are certain people who, when you meet those people who are always charged up, yaar, aaj main extra jaake padunga. It's very, very important. Nirmal, one another question that is coming up: how we can approach the newspapers so that we're able to get maximum benefit for the exam?
I'll tell my approach. My approach was like I used to read Hindu, the center page articles mainly, and I used to understand what the idea is. Then another thing I wanted to say is, when you read newspaper, think about it as well. It is not just reading the newspaper alone that matters. Sometimes the person who have written the article might have written from a rightist perspective or a leftist perspective, whatever it is. But understand immediately when you go to the newspaper, you have to keep apply your mind and think what the guy is trying to tell. He might be trying to put his own ideology into you. You need not buy it, but understand that viewpoint. You always have. You might have always heard of this term balanced view. What exactly is balanced view? We all know whenever we put some like viewpoint, it is our viewpoint. There is definitely an alternate viewpoint that will also have some correct in it. So you have to take all these, collect all this. Then this is about reading articles from the center page. Then the best thing is what I have felt personally is there are these like institutes which are publishing current affairs material. For current affairs per se, these materials are handy rather than digging in the newspaper. The newspaper is for understanding the concepts and ideologies rather than the current affairs alone. That you cannot get from current affairs material, like whether Vision is publishing or Inside, whoever is publishing, the common people are using all this. But whatever they are publishing, it is factual. When you want substantial subjects, maybe like over a period of 1 year, you might be reading some 10-20 articles about secularism, another 10-20 articles about communalism. Definitely these questions will be there. And if you have covered UPSC, I mean, you have covered newspaper, the Hindu over a period of 1 year, you will be well versed in writing any of these. Also, the international relations topics are also exclusively covered by newspapers like Hindu. Another thing is stick on to one current affairs material and one newspaper. Need not go in search of like one month you read this institute's material, another month next institute's material. Doesn't matter. You might not be able to score a mark with this institute's material this month, but stick on to it. Read it again and again. At the end of the day, it is not this month that matters. It's after 10 months or 12 months exam comes. So stick on to it.
Yeah, definitely. That's very, very important that newspaper, these magazines are important, but it's a compilation of different facts that are there to have a clarity of the topic. It's very, very important to read the newspaper articles, because that is only one thing that will be getting you through. It's very, very important for a conceptual clarity, the topic, for example, just as sir has said, there are 20 articles that will be coming only on secularism. But when you are reading a particular magazine, वहाँ पे सिर्फ 2 पेज दिए होंगे. That is most. But on the other hand, those 2 pages may be handy or they may not be handy writing an answer. But on the other hand, if you have gone through the newspaper, read approximately 10 to 20 articles on secularism, you have n number of dimensions on which you will be able to write an answer from almost all the questions. So there are multiple questions which are coming. Take up some of these that are important. One question that is important is, what are the things that you need to avoid while doing UPSC?
I'll tell what all mistakes I made. One thing, I was lazy. I could have put a lot more effort and I could have cleared in my second attempt itself. Why I had to wait for another 2 years is just because I was lazy. Because in the second attempt, immediately after writing my mains medical science optional, I clearly knew I am not going to clear. I clearly knew I am not going to clear the mains. But since I have done GS and SA so well, I cleared the mains. I have done those papers extremely well. I cleared the mains. I went for interview. But then also I clearly knew whatever good score I am going to score in interview, I will not figure in a rank that is needed for IAS. Still, I didn't prepare for next prelims. And that year, what happened is, after the interview, the results came just 14 days before the next prelims.
Yes.
And I haven't touched my book till then. I was just waiting for the result. Though like I clearly knew I'm not going to clear, and I lost that prelims by 0.6 marks. So this was a huge lose. I like lost because 1.5 years I was unnecessarily lost because I was lazy. If I could have read something, I could have cleared that prelims and next mains I could have cleared because I was preparing my optional everything well after the prelims. But when the results of prelims came, I lost. So one thing is, don't be lackadaisical. Like, you need to prepare. You have to understand that this is a tough exam. Another thing is, like, main thing is wastage of time. Second thing is, like, there are lots of resources that is coming in. Like, whenever you go to, you are watching strategy videos, you are watching a lot of materials online, and you are confused with a lot of materials. You will read a book half and then shift to another book. What I want to tell you is, you take one book for preparation for like modern India. For example, you are taking Spectrum. Thing is, you read that book 5 times or 10 times, or Lakshmi Kant for polity. You have to read it 10 times. Otherwise, you are going to forget it. Means, so it's as simple as that. There are lots of books, and we are going to write this in 1 or 2 hours. Definitely, we will forget if you haven't read enough number of times. Rather than reading 3 books, 4 books for polity, you have to read just one book. Modern Indian history also, only one book is needed. But most people, what I said is, they will read once or twice and say they are not able to score marks. Nobody will be able to score good marks after reading once or twice. UPSC is a tough exam. It's not just your problem. Everybody is reading 3, 4, 5 times and then only scoring marks. Nobody is showing any magic. There is no like such extremely brilliant people. And it is not about brilliant people in the service. It is people who have like put in some effort and came up. That's what the service also need. So what I feel is, you should stick on to your books, read it again and again, read repeatedly, rather than changing from one book to other.
So one problem that I personally seen with the students is, for example, you were there in Delhi. I hope Rajendra Nagar itself. N number of bookshops are there, N number of other things are there. Online, offline material abundance is available, and basically in the online mode, even a person who has never cleared the prelims is, for example, guiding the people how to prepare for the interview and other things.
Exactly.
That is the biggest misguidance for the student. And such people, for creating some sensational videos, they try to create the views, and that's why the students are misguided. So it is very much important to stay focused, and limited number of books, constant revision would be required.
Yes.
And sir, one question I want to ask that can be useful for the student. At times, the student, they start solving various papers, for example, picking from the market or for the online material, and they are unable to score good marks. I always advise them, go for UPSC papers first. Then after UPSC paper, try to solve certain papers. Any paper आप जो भी उठाना चाहो उठा लो. That can be there. The thing that I advise a student is, आप कभी कभी क्या होता है, टेस्ट सीरीज में करने के लिए you start preparing in such a way that कि आपकी किसी इंस्टीट्यूट के टेस्ट सीरीज में अच्छा स्कोर आ जाए, not in UPSC. So how much is the importance of UPSC papers for a student? कि UPSC papers पहले focus करो, दूसरा बात की बात है वो secondary thing है.
I think UPSC papers, like when you go through it, you get an idea about how the papers are prepared. So first of all, you have to go through these papers and get an idea like what they are trying to ask. And when you go through institute's papers, what you have to do is, rather than like going through their previous year's papers, always go through their current year papers, because current affairs and all will be covered in their current year's papers. So go through like 5-6 years of UPSC previous year question paper, as well as do one test series from any institute of the present year. That is enough, sufficient for like previous year question paper preparation.
So one thing, how you have approached paper two, especially governance issue, and the section during the mains, and there are various issues which are coming up. How do you interlink all these issues with the current affairs and basically the governance wala portion?
What I did was like some of the institute, actually I did a simple method. Some of the institutes published the topics they are going to teach for governance. So I did a reverse search method. What I did is I took all those topics, wrote down in it in a paper, like on a paper, like there were around 75 topics, I remember. And what I did is I reverse searched all those topics in Google, and I found out the articles that came in newspaper. So per topic, I read 3-4 articles and made notes. Like one topic, I will be having 2 or 3 page notes. So this took around 2-3 days to finish.
Yes.
So paper 2, I wrote down for governance part, I wrote down some 75 topics which I will be preparing. So, but before that, I had done an exclusive work on polity, like for mains alone. So I did 2 things. One is for mains, there are definitely we have to understand the concept a bit more clearer than given in Lakshmikant.
Yes.
There are certain materials that which I got from online and other sources which help me to get some more clarity in polity and governance. Plus, like we have to add the number of cases. This case for this, like for example, judicial papism may be there, or like some other issues. Every issue there will be some cases. For example, we have Keshavan the Bharati case or Minerva Mills case. All these things I wrote down the cases alone. So whenever I have a question, I can put the cases in. Plus that, I went to the current affairs topics. I selected some 75 to 80 topics. All those topics I reverse searched in Google and found out what all topics are there, like what all articles have come. And also many institutes have published articles on it. I compiled those articles. I read per topic. I read 3-4 articles and made small notes so that I can revise it on the day before the exam. So just before the day of the paper 2 exam, I went through my notes and I had sufficient topic. And immediately after writing paper 2, I knew I will be scoring very good on paper 2.
That's good. So one question I personally want to ask: you are coming basically from South India and you are being posted and got a Punjab cadre. How is the experience and the difference that you find in north and southern part of the country?
I don't have any idea about even Punjabi and even Hindi. I am very difficult. Like I am finding it very difficult to speak Hindi. In academy, that was the first exposure to Hindi. Even when I was in Delhi, I had these friends who could speak English, so I could manage that way. Like to be frank, my first exposure to like North India was basically through sociology, because that is how I started understanding the social structure of North India and South India are like totally different. So I started studying. Then I was learning under a teacher, and I had this friend who was from North India who was also studying sociology. She told me a lot of things about the social structure, how North India is. My personal experiences, like there are lots of differences. There are a lot of good things at both places. Coming to Patiala also, but the good thing was Patiala was like welcoming, very welcoming to me. And it is like green like Kerala. The city is green and very good roads. And the team here is very young. They were also very welcoming. And like food is also very tasty. Only thing I found a bit difficult is like it is 45, 46 degree hot right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Patiala have been very welcoming. I'm enjoying here right now.
Temperatures are will continue this approximately 40-45 degree.
Yeah.
That will continue in the remaining time also.
Yes. Yes.
Lastly, I would like to ask you, what message do you want to give to the students?
Civil service, if you are pursuing it as a dream, you have to understand it is one of the toughest exam. So definitely you know that it is a tough exam, so you have to respect the exam. And even if you fail, don't worry. Give it another attempt and keep your focus on this alone. And rather than shifting from one focus to another, keep your focus, keep trying. Another important thing is you have to rectify your mistakes. Repeating the same mistakes after one attempt after another will not help you to clear. Another trend I have observed while I was in Delhi is people are too tensed. in Delhi. I went back to Kerala. Kerala, we have in Trivandrum the preparation. There is another preparation hub in Trivandrum. It is very chill compared to Delhi. Delhi, you can see very tense faces and too much of material. Actually, comparing Delhi with Trivandrum, we 10 Malayalis cleared this year. Very few of us have done it in Delhi. What I have observed is many of us do not even know the books that are published in markets in Delhi. We have never seen those many books.
So that's an advantage. Staying away
Yeah,
from things is an
yeah.
advantage, actually.
Yeah, this hub is actually getting on the nerves of many people. Many are very tensed, and we also hear of some people suiciding. Actually, UPSC is not that big a thing. Another thing everybody should understand is, uh, rather than the glitz and glory of this service, at the same time, there's a lots of sacrifice when you are in the service. For example, if I was continuing with my job as a doctor, I could have been happily at my home, enjoying my meals there, being with my parents. But right now, for like an entire career, I have to be in another place. I have to be away from my parents. Though I get all the respect and whatever there is related to this service, at the same time, I lose a lot of things. So you have to understand that also. Like you have to understand before coming to a service, this service is not just about glitz and glory. There is a lot of suffering and a lot of tension and pressure involved in the service. You should be ready to take up all those like risks that is coming on your way. So when you prepare, you have to understand being tensed will not solve your issues.
Very true.
Keep your cool, keep your composure. Just understand the requirements of the exam and take it one by one. Many people will be so very confused and tensed about the exam that is going to happen 6 months after this. It's not going to help. You have to take it one by one. My approach was always like I will join some test series and I will religiously write the tests that is conducted by that institute, whichever institute. Like I will not focus on the UPSC exam. I will be focusing on the syllabus of that test series and put my entire effort on that alone. And the day that test series is over, I will be happy. I will be then taking a like small break, and then I will prepare for the next exam in that test series. So once you prepare regularly, like for one test to one test, you need not be thinking about what is going to happen after 6 months. Rather than focus on small targets. Like we all might have heard of this. Like Rome was not built in a day. So collect your stones, collect your pebbles one by one. You are definitely going to build it. So you have to have a small. You have to break down the large project into small projects. Uh, like one after the other, can finish off the target, and you can definitely reach the bigger target. Don't need to get tense. At the same time, for example, I am seeing many of the officers here who are working in Punjab civil service. They also have written civil service exam multiple times and then cleared Punjab civil service. They are actually doing wonderful job, excellent job. So there are other exams that you can clear as well. Definitely, once you are prepared for this, you are the best bet for any other exam as well. So need not worry too much. And UPSC is not the end of everything in life. Life have much more to it. You can excel in many other fields. So if you want this really badly, break the target into small targets, take it one after the other, don't get tensed.
That's very important. Certain things that that was told are very important for a student. Pressure लेने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. It's very simple as that. You need to keep small targets. Secondly, जरूरी नहीं है कि IAS निकालना है तो आपको दिल्ली आना पड़ेगा. ऐसा भी नहीं है. Friends, I personally would like to advise all the students जो दिल्ली में आके पढ़ना चाह रहे हैं, that is one thing. But on the other hand, if you do not come to Delhi, stay committed to the targets that you are being fixing. It's very important कि आप दिल्ली के pressure से भी बचोगे. The environment, the climate, the students, for example, ऐसा लग रहा है जब you go to Rajendra Nagar, you to go to Mukherjee Nagar, आप एक अलग दुनिया है. वो एक ऐसी दुनिया है जहाँ पे आप पत्थर मारोगे तो एक IAS बनने वाले के सिर पे ही गिरेगा. It's a huge, always being surrounded by a pressure. And certain students are not that capable of handling the pressure. And last year also cases where there certain girls, they committed suicide for various reasons. So friends, जब भी कुछ achieve करना है, big to achieve, if you want to achieve, you have to make a plan and implement that plan. जैसे मैं आपको हमेशा advise करता हूँ, implement that plan, that is very essential. और IAS अगर नहीं भी बने तो एक स्टेप है आपकी जिंदगी में. एक IAS बनना चाहते हो, ठीक है, नहीं बने तो फिर क्या है. There are alternative n number of other ways are there which will definitely be opening up, which can definitely, you can be working for helping the society, helping yourself also, and be contented with the things also. Multiple things are waiting ahead of you, bigger things are also achieving. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ये नहीं हुआ तो कुछ बहुत बड़ा वेट कर रहा होता है आपकी जिंदगी के लिए. Same thing can also be there. So stay motivated, stay committed to your goal. Definitely आज नहीं तो कल आपको success मिल जाएगी. And do be committed to the yourself and be true to yourself and the preparation also. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming and giving a valuable guidance to the students. And I hope that the students will definitely work upon the guidance that has been given by you. And definitely next year, जो लोग देख रहे हैं आपके guidance की वजह से, definitely they will also be there into the selection list. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.